Hello. In this video, I will talk about the CapMonster Cloud Captcha Recognition Service, explain how to use it, and how to set everything up. We'll go through a couple of examples of how to compose requests to send captchas for recognition. The first thing we need to do is register on the CapMonster.cloud service. You can see the link on your screen right now, follow it, and then click the register button here. Here, you'll need to enter the email address you want to use to register your account. Next, come up with a password here, click the registration button. That's it. Now a confirmation email will be sent to your inbox. It's possible that the confirmation email might not arrive. Check your spam folder. If the email ended up in the spam folder, open it, click not spam, and then click the email confirmation button inside. That's it. Confirm your email, and you'll immediately be taken to your personal account. Here, you'll see your API key, which you can use to interact with the service. There's also a section here, for example, download browser extension. With this extension, if you install it in your browser, you'll be able to automatically solve CAPTCHAs. That is, if the extension detects a CAPTCHA on the website page, it will automatically recognize it. You can see the types of CAPTCHAs that can be recognized using the CapMonster Cloud service in the pricing section. Here we can see the types of CAPTCHAs we can recognize and the cost of recognition. In order to use the service, of course, we need to top up our balance. To do this, we need to click this button located in the upper right corner. Click it, and here you can see the payment methods you can use to add funds to your balance. You can use cards, cryptocurrencies, even web mining. In other words, choose any option that's convenient for you and top up your balance. Now let's look at a few ways you can send a CAPTCHA for recognition. For example, we have a page like this. Here we are asked to prove that we're not a robot. You need to select motorcycles. Sometimes you need to select crosswalks and cars. Basically, anything at all. We encounter these kinds of CAPTCHAs almost every day. So how do you solve such a CAPTCHA using the CapMonster Cloud service? In your personal account, you go to the I am a developer section. Here, first of all, there are ready-made libraries for developers that you can integrate into your scripts. There is also a section with documentation on how to work with the API. We open the API and see the create task methods. To send a CAPTCHA for recognition, we need to make a HTTP request to specific address. And this request must include certain parameters. You can also find examples of these parameters on the documentation page. For example, if we need to recognize a regular CAPTCHA, just a standard image with letters and numbers, we use these parameters in the request. If we need to recognize reCAPTCHA 2, like this one, we'll use these parameters. Here, we specify that in both cases, we need to provide the client key. Where do we get it? In your personal account, here is your client key. We insert this key in place of the API key value. Here, for example, if you are recognizing an image, then we leave this parameter as image-to-text task. And here in the body parameter, we specify the image encoded in B64 format. If we look at reCAPTCHA 2, here we need to specify the task type as reCAPTCHA 2 task. Here we specify the page where the CAPTCHA we need to recognize is located, and we also specify the website key and where to get it. Look, here we have a CAPTCHA. We open the page's source code by pressing Ctrl+U, and then we search for side key. Here is the side key, and this value is what we will need to use in our request. I've put together a small script in Python. We'll also go over an example of making a request using Poster, but for now we're working with Python. So what exactly are we doing? We simply create a method that makes a HTTP request to the given address. Here it is. We just took it from here and copied it here. This is the link. And then we created the variable here with the parameters. Amongst the parameters, we have the API key variable. Here it is. This is our key from a personal account. Here is our key. We also specified the link to the page with the CAPTCHA here. Here it is. Let's go to it one more time. This is the link. So here we specified the side key, and we got the side key from the page's source code. Here it is. All right. Basically, that's it. And next, we need to make one more request after we've sent the CAPTCHA for recognition. This is the request to get the result. Let's open the documentation. Here we have get task result. As we can see, in order to get the completed CAPTCHA recognition result, we make a request to this address, and the request must include these parameters. There, once again, we specify our API key, which we take from here, and here we specify the task ID, the task's ID. The task ID is returned to us after we send the CAPTCHA for recognition. Let's see how all of this works. Here's the Python script. Let's run it. All right. Now we're making a request. Here's a request to this link. We are sending the Captcha for recognition. The Captcha has been sent, and the CapMonster Cloud service has sent us back the ID of this task. Here's the task ID. Let's continue. Next, we have a 10-second pause to allow the Captcha to be solved. I'm not exactly sure how much time is needed for the Captcha to be recognized. You just need to test it out. That's it. We've waited 10 seconds, and now we're making a request to get the Captcha recognition the result. So in the response, we should receive a token, which will then be used on the website where we are working and solving the Captcha. Here, we've received the due to Captcha response. This is the token. Next, we parse it and use it in our script somewhere in the requests. Basically, we've solved the Captcha. When you write your own script and analyze the requests, you'll see this token, and you'll see it in your requests when you go through the registration process. For example, when you click the register button, this token with the solved reCAPTCHA will be sent in the request to the service where you're registering. Well, I hope I don't need to explain this to you. You already understand this. But basically, in terms of Python, there's nothing complicated here. Let's go through an example together of how you can implement something like this in, say, Posta. Basically, there's nothing complicated here. It's all the same as before. Look, we're making a post request to this address. There it is. We've inserted it here. Next, we need to specify the request parameters here. The request parameters you is simply copy them from here and paste them here. And here, we insert our API key from the personal account, the API key. Here, we've specified the link to the page where the CAPTCHA is located. Here, we've specified the site key, which we took from the page's source code. So this piece of code does the same thing as our action post request. We execute the request. All right. We've received the task ID variable. Next, we parse the JSON so that our task ID appears in the JSON variables. Then we pause for 10 seconds to give the CAPTCHA time to be solved. Maybe I'll repeat. Maybe even 1 second is enough. You just need to test it. And then here in the request to get the result, we insert the JSON task ID variable. This variable right here. Here it is. All right, and what do we have here? We simply execute the request, just execute the request. So now we've received the solved CAPTCHA, and it was the response. And this token is what we use, for example, when going through a registration, but most often CAPTCHA is used on the registration pages. Of course, there can be different situations, but in any case, the token we receive in the response is what we then use in our script that we are creating. That's it. And then we parse the data again. That's all. We take the value from the variable here. There's also the option of recognizing CAPTCHA using the built-in functionality of ZennoPoster. Let's go over the tabs for recognizing reCAPTCHA. Let's take a look at the CAPTCHA. Here, we specify the Monster Cloud module. Here, we select the CAPTCHA type reCAPTCHA 2. Here, we choose in the tab either via SIPE key. If it's via SIPE key, it's the same as recognizing CAPTCHA without using the browser. If we choose the option in the tab, then the action will automatically find the CAPTCHA on the page and recognize it. Let's break it down. All right, now I'm copying the link. Let's go to the page. In the action properties, we check if we've set everything correctly. And here, depending on our tasks, we set whether to use the project's proxy or not. Whether to use the project's cookie estis also depends on you. Here, let's create a variable, for example. Let's call it ID. Okay, and then what? And beforehand, before we run this action, we need to have a key set up in the settings of our project maker or ZennoPoster. Go to settings, then to the CAPTCHA section. Here, you paste the key from the CapMonster Cloud service, and your balance will be displayed, which means everything is set up correctly. Please know that after you set the key in Project Maker or ZennoPoster, you need to restart the program for the key to take effect. You can see this written here in rec text. Let's go back to our project and run the action. That's it. The CAPTCHA recognition has started. That's all, literally. How long did that take? 1 second passed, and the CAPTCHA was recognized. The fact that I have 10 seconds setting my Python script here is too much. So here as well, basically you can set it to just 1 second. And another option is that we can install an extension that allows us to recognize CAPTCHAs. Let's go over this option as well. Let's create an action called Work with Extensions. Here, we specify the path of the extension. Right now, we're installing the official CapMonster cloud extension. You can download it from your personal account. Let's open the personal account, and here we see download browser extension. So we run this action here and set the 10-second pause so the extension has time to install. Now, let's test how everything works. That's it. The extension is installed. Now, let's open it, right? Open the extension. Here, we need to enter the key. You can copy the key from here, from the requests. So we enter the key, and now our balance will look done. Here, we set the checkboxes for which captchas we want to be automatically recognized when entering the page. Let's test everything now. Let's close the extension, refresh the page, and now the captcha should be solved automatically after we go to the page. Let's check. As we can see, the extension recognizes all captchas perfectly. Recognized. Basically, that's it. If you have any questions, or if you already have some, you can contact support. The link to the support service is below this video. There is also an official Telegram channel for CapMonster Cloud users, where you can also ask your questions. The link is also below this video.